Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be having a first look at the facelifted Audi A4 and I would call it the brand new Audi S4 Avant that's parked behind me. We're going to start by just having a quick walk around the outside of the car, having a look at some of the subtle changes on the bodywork. We'll have a quick look inside the interior and then I'll take it out for a first drive. Audi are very quick to point out today that the new A4 or S4 as we have here is basically new from the ground up, but it does share some body panels from the previous one. In fact, the bonnet, the roof and the boot are still the same, but everything else, the wings and the doors are different, and especially the front end and the rear end styling. As you can see on the front end, it's incorporated some of Audi's modern design language, so cars like the new A1, cars like the new A6, and even cars like the new R8 have got a familiar sort of face now. There's plenty of fake vents around, but I'm glad to report there's also plenty of real vents, so it's not too bad around the front end, but I really like it. This is the new LED headlamp design. I think they look fantastic, and it looks quite aggressive on the front. Down the side, I wouldn't say it looks anywhere near as aggressive as the S6 that I recently had. The arches are a bit slimmer, but that's kind of the A4 body design language. I just think that it's a bit more of a smaller, sleepier car, but you'll be glad to hear that under the bonnet it still shares the same 3-litre V6 turbo diesel that's in the S6 that I had recently. So 344 brake horsepower, 700 newton meters of torque, but we'll get onto that more when we take it out for a drive. Alloy design, typical Audi I think these days. I think they design the actual car very well, but most of the wheels that I've seen recently just don't excite me too much. But you know, they're not offensive, they look okay. They don't perhaps look big enough or cool enough to be on such cars as this S4 Avant. Moving around the back, we've got the new headlight design again. I think it looks really cool. Obviously you've got the S4 badging on this one. There's a few more styling tweaks. I'm guessing this sort of extended spoiler might not be on the lower models, but unfortunately, just like with the S6, the exhausts are fake. Well, I say the exhausts are fake. The left ones are fake, but they actually do have some pipes in the back there. Whereas the ones on the right, as you look at it, are exactly like the ones in the S6 and completely fake with blanks behind them, which is a big disappointment for us petrol heads, I guess. Let's jump inside, have a quick look at the cabin, and then take it out for a quick drive. Okay, so typically Audi in here, beautiful cabin. I go on about it all the time. It really is nice in here. I believe it's Nappa leather as standard on all of the S models or the S4 now. But everything else in here, if you've had an S or if you've been in an A4 over the past couple of years, it's basically the same, and the fundamental changes are you've now got a touchscreen nav, which seems to be a little bit bigger than the old one, and the graphics definitely are a notch up, and I really like it. Again, it's touchscreen, but as far as I can see, it's only touchscreen, so I'm sure, like with the S6 that I had recently and a lot of the modern Audis, it's going to have its plus and negative points for being touchscreen, because they're very hard to use in reality on the move, but the graphics and stuff are really, really cool. This doesn't fold down or anything, so it's stuck on the dashboard there. The other upgrades that we've got are the new virtual cockpit, which we'll fire up now, and the graphics on there are just that much better. So again, you can cycle through the different modes once it's warmed up. You can get different displays going on in there, but yeah, it's I'd say as a whole it's very nice in here. Bit disappointed that this one, being an Avant or an estate, doesn't have a roof, because I think that's a must in estate cars, but obviously that's an option and is going to be standard, I'm guessing, on models like the Vorsprung model, but we'll talk more about that once we get on the move. Okay guys, welcome to the inside of the car, and meet Mr. Stef ABTV next to me.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks mate. Love doing videos with Stef. He also shoots some very, very good quality stuff, so please check out his channel. I'll put a link to that below. Obviously I've recently had the S6 Avant, which I thought would be very similar to this. But obviously this is a fair bit lighter, but when I say a fair bit lighter, it's still around 1800 kilos, which is a lot of weight, and certainly heavier than its equivalents like the 340i xDrive and the Mercedes CU43.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what it feels like from behind the driver's seat. Early impressions are it feels great. We've talked lots on Stef's channel actually about the fact that this is a diesel, and obviously it is the talking point on the internet at the moment. The new S4 and the new S6 is a diesel, and I really think we need to kind of just get over that. And if you want the petrol, then we're very lucky to be able to have the RS4 still, which is the fire breathing version. Obviously it's more money, but you really shouldn't take too much away from this car, because although it is a diesel, it's got so much. As I put my foot down in third up this very steep hill, it's just
that's relentless though, isn't it?
And that was at like 2,000 revs, you know. It's the torque, 700 newton meters of it, which is insane. It's
what's that? It's about 550 foot-pound if you convert that.
Exactly.
And most of it dumps between kind of 2,100 and 3,000, which is where you're going to spend most of your time anyway.
That's the thing, and that's the argument with many diesels, aside from the obvious that they are more fuel efficient, and this one produces on the real combined cycle of just over 40 miles to the gallon, which is a fair amount up on, say, last year's S4. But in terms of, I'm not just standing here going, oh, you not need to worry about it because you're going to get more fuel efficiency. It's not that. It's honestly the mid-range punch in any gear. That's fourth again. It just picks up and goes. And this is a heavy car, as we just talked about. So I really think the actual diesel motor makes sense and definitely has an argument for itself in this particular car. In the S6, although it was exactly the same motor, it sounded a lot more like a lazy V8 in that car, and it had quite a rumble, especially in dynamic. In this one, it seems to have lost a lot of that sound, and I'm sure a lot of the S6 sound was orchestrated and fake. But in this one, so we'll slow it down now and put your foot down. It's not a bad sound, but it's not that loud, and probably not what you would expect in an Audi S model. But you know, that's the way it is. Restrictions, you know, even the new S3 and like the new M140, they've all got so many filters and restrictions on them that unfortunately organic sound is kind of much of yesteryear.
You know, it's an interesting point though, because I think me and you have done videos before where we've talked about the enhanced sound. And we've kind of said, oh, they've put the enhanced sound, where it feels like Audi have gone the opposite way and kind of said, well, we'll let you listen to pretty much how the car sounds. So I guess you get less of that fake noise with more actual real noise of the V6 turbo diesel engine.
Exactly, which isn't a bad thing, is it? I mean, we'll always have things to complain about, because that's what we always do. Especially Stef and I, we're both realists, and we like to find negatives. In fact, I think we both do that in the sense that we like to find negatives as much as positives with cars, because that's why people watch our stuff, because they believe what we say, and we are honest about everything. So many people just talk about the positives, and trust me, there is no car out there that is just positive. Cars always have negatives. So but back to this, I just think it's brilliant. I think this has got a 0 to 60 time, quoted 0 to 60 time of 4.9 seconds in the Avant and 4.8 in the Saloon. Now this car, this S4, there's going to be three models, or I guess you'd call them trim levels.
It's the S-Line Quattro and Vorsprung, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's the standard S4, I think they're just calling it. Then the S-Line, and then the Vorsprung. So a bit like in line with the rest of the Audi range. The Vorsprung is going to come fully loaded with pretty much every option ticked. The reason that Audi and a lot of manufacturers are doing this now is because of all the stringent testing with the new OPF filters and stuff, to stop them from having to test every single car with every single option, they've now brought out much bigger trim gaps, if you like, which is cool to the end user, because it means then you're not going to spend your life on the configurator looking at this option and that option. It's like, no, this is what you can have, and there's 1 or 2 options you can add to it, and that's it. So it makes your life a little bit easier in that sense.
It's like with the tech pack. There used to be a tech pack. There isn't a tech pack anymore.
Right. Yes.
Because that all comes as standard in this.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
And talking of standard, I mean, I'm going to jump in the regular A4 a bit later, but we know standard equipment, either in the S4 or the A4, is much higher. And in fact, this car comes with a load of standard equipment, like the Napa leather that I talked about earlier on. It comes with all of the new touchscreen nav. I'm a bit disappointed to see that the MMI controller's gone, because what I love, obviously being a BMW man, with the iDrive is, with the iDrive, you've got the touchscreen now on the newer iDrive 6 and the operating system 7. You've got the touchscreen, but you've still got the iDrive controller. And really, I only ever use the iDrive controller. I never use the touchscreen. Unfortunately, on this one, they've got rid of the MMI and they put what I can only describe as an ashtray down here with a compartment that I'm not sure, you could put some change in there or something, but there's not really, it's not like they've kind of removed that and freed up like something special down there. They've literally just put an ashtray thing down there, which for me is a bit pointless. I wish the MMI or the controller was still there to control the touchscreen, because I personally find touchscreens quite hard to use on the move, although they are something to talk about in videos, and I'm sure tech guys get very excited by them. But you've actually got one in your A1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's probably one thing that I probably disagree with you on.
Okay.
I quite like the fact, I like the idea that really and truly what they've done is they've taken your smartphone and just put it right in front of you there.
Yes.
I mean, in nowadays, I think it was a similar transition from when you went away from your Nokia 5110 to the first time you used the touchscreen.
Yes.
You'll eventually adapt to it.
Yep.
And for me, having it all as touchscreen in your line of sight, I think that works. And you're right, in the A1 that my missus has, it has this kind of newer MMI system, and I love it. I think it's great. I almost think like the maps are a little bit better on this. They're just a little bit more kind of 3D. Okay. But no, I think as a whole it's a great nav. I think there's always that with the virtual cockpit. So if you look at like a TTRS, you've only got what you see in front of you in the dash.
Yes.
You don't have anything else. It's a lot more clean.
And I love that.
Yeah. Whereas with this, you kind of like, it's like, well, I've got my virtual cockpit that does everything, and I've also got the same thing over here.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, so it's like you've got two of exactly the same thing, especially when you change the view on this one.
Yeah.
And in fact, this car's got the head-up display, which I believe when the production models or when you can order them only comes as a standard equipment on the Vorsprung and it's not as a normal option, but I might be wrong. I've got a nav in the middle telling me to go right, I've got my virtual cockpit telling me to go right, and I've got my head-up display, which I think is well overkill. She's going to let me go, thank you so much. Right? yeah, exactly. Oh, but I mean, look at that. That's straight up, you know, national speed limit, boom, without any fuss. And then you knock it back into 8th gear. I'm driving with the paddles, so it's an 8-speed Tiptronic. I believe it's the ZF 8-speed gearbox, and 8th gear at 50 miles an hour. I'm doing 1,000 RPM. I mean, that's just amazing. So on long hauls, I can imagine this is really going to be very, very fuel efficient. I have to say, in the short time I've used the software, or I've relied on the automatic gearbox, just like in the S6, the calibration's not quite right in this car, and I find it a little bit frustrating. So there, look, it changed down 3 gears, and I gave it about 10% throttle, and it's overreacting to everything. Unlike some of the other petrol Audis that I've tried where the calibration's really good. So they haven't got the calibration quite right on the automatic box. I'm sure if you own this car, you'd just learn a way to get around that, and you'd have to be a bit more gentle with the throttle. Obviously take it out of dynamic as well.
I guess there's always the question as well with, you know, we've talked about it in the past around, you know, how do you really kind of trying to give as much efficiency as possible, while still delivering performance? Because they've got, on this you've got a mild hybrid system as well, haven't you? A 48 volt kind of mild hybrid, which reduces some of the lag, which is, but also you can coast for up to 40 seconds just using electric. Which is a long time, isn't it? So that was something that I'd learnt about this morning, actually. I knew that they had the hybrid system in there, and I understood that it's sort of tried to take away some of the initial turbo lag, if you like,
but I didn't know about the coasting function, which is very interesting. As you say, it's Audi trying to sort of get that CO2 figure down and the MPG figure up, which isn't a bad thing. So I'm in comfort now, and I've actually knocked the suspension, that knocks everything into comfort on this particular model, which is a press model, which is fully loaded. This car's about £60,000 on the road, so it's quite a pricey car, and it's mixed with options that you can't actually buy from the dealership because it's an early press car. But I can say that in comfort, the ride is really good because I can see how choppy the surface is, and in fact when we turn it back into, let's put it into dynamic, instantly you can feel that, every little ripple. You can see the ripples in the road, and you can certainly feel them a couple of seconds later. So yeah, and I can report that when it's in dynamic, it handles really well. It feels and sits really flat. Steering feels not bad. You know, it's you feel a little bit removed, but it's not bad at all. But I have to say, this is just literally a first drive video. I'm going to jump in a regular, more affordable A4 later this afternoon after lunch, so I'll be doing another video on that car, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be coming very soon, and yeah, let's see if some of the S4's upgrades and stuff have translated onto the cheaper model and see what that feels like. But yeah, as I say, from now, let's got a nice quiet road, let's just do a little launch, right, and build the revs up, and here we go. Oh, that quattro traction.
Wow.
Oh, and there we go. That's
a solid launch, that.
It really is, isn't it? I think once you got the revs up and it's in boost, obviously that mild compressors, the mild hybrid system is probably helping there. But yeah, really impressive car, and I personally really like it. It's lovely in here. I think in terms of actual driving dynamics, I still believe that a 340i or M340i X-Drive, whatever they're going to call it, is probably going to be ultimately more exciting to drive. But then as an overall package, is it going to be as good? I don't know. And this is all hearsay because I haven't driven the new M340i yet. I've just driven the more baseline models like yourself. So it'd be interesting to compare that. Maybe when that comes out, I'll get one, you get the other. There you go. And we'll go off and shoot a proper video. As I say, right, that's it, guys. Please make sure you do check out Stef's Instagram and his YouTube channel. He will have a very similar video that we shot together in this car, so check that out.
Some funny moments in that as well.
There is definitely some funny. There's always funny moments in your car.
That's what happened. Are you bastard?
No, but to be fair, yours is a lot better than mine. But anyway, mate, yeah, as always, lovely to have you on the channel, mate, and great to hang out with you. I'll see you guys at the next one. Take it easy. Cheers, Steph.